Good evening, everyone. My name is Honor Collins. I'm a front end and also a back end engineer. I have over 2 years experience working as a front end engineer. So the purpose of this course is for people that are new into software engineering. So I will be taking you guys on the basis of HTML. Yeah, but before then, let's go to our slide so I can show you I will show you the syllabus, what we are going to take because we are going to have HTML um, part one, we have part two, and also part three. So yeah, we're taking part one. So going to my slide. Yeah. So I'll be taking you guys on HTML. So from this our slide, we use our slide to we code along while I also teach. So I'm going to use our slide. I make this slide purposely for people that are new in software engineering. So let me show slide. I think it's okay. Okay. Yeah. So introduction to what HTML. So before then, if you're into software engineering, if you are new into software engineering, the first thing you have to learn is HTML. And what is HTML? So before I define what is HTML, okay. Before I define, sorry guys, I don't know why my system is just okay. Let me just wow, wow. Okay, let me finish okay, let me use this. I think this will be better. Um, Next slide. Okay, I think this is better now. So, so what we will cover in this course. So we'll cover the introduction part of HTML. We cover HTML editor. We cover HTML basics. We are going to cover HTML elements, HTML attributes, HTML headings, HTML paragraph, HTML styles, and HTML formatting. So those are what you are going to cover in this segment. So in our next class, we'll take it from, we'll take other part of HTML. So let's move to the next one. Now, now before you can able to start even writing code, writing any lines of code, you need to understand what you are actually writing. You understand? So now, what is HTML? I say HTML is a standard language for what? Creating web pages. Now, every website you see there, every web application you see there is used. The language you use to write it is HTML. Unlike, let's say for instance, if you are writing with your normal pen and paper, you understand? Yeah. In the language of web, we use a language called what? HTML. So what is HTML? HTML stands for what? Hypertext Markup Language. Yes, that's the definition of what? HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So um, anywhere you find, any situation you find yourself, they ask what is HTML. You can define HTML as what? Hypertext Hypertext Markup Language. You say HTML is a standard markup language for creating web page. Yes, it's a standard yeah, all over any web page you see out today. You use what we call what? HTML. Yeah. Now we move to another. HTML describes the structure of the web page. Yes, The structure of any web page you find out there is that's just like we can call HTML the skeleton of a web page. Now, HTML consists of a series of what? Elements. Yes, HTML consists of a series of elements. Yeah, because every HTML tags are what called what? Elements. They say HTML element tells the browser how to display the content. Yes, those elements that are put together tells the browser how to what? Display the content. So HTML element label pieces of content such as this is a heading, this is a paragraph, this is a link. Yes. So HTML labeled series of pieces of what content. These are pieces of chunks of content that are put together. Yeah, these are what. So now these that is what we call what? HTML elements. So move to the next one. Example explain. Yes, this is how HTML element looks like. So if you are creating a fresh HTML boilerplate, this is what you are going to see. The first one is what? The doc type. Yeah, but the doc type. Say doc type, they say the declaration define that this document is an what? Is an HTML element 5. Yes. The moment you see something like this, the opening tag, exclamation mark, doc type, HTML, and the closing tag, it defines that particular HTML as what? HTML5 document. So the next one is what? The HTML tag. HTML tag. This is the opening tag of the HTML tag. So element is HTML. Okay, the HTML, the element is the root element of an HTML page. Yeah, this is the root element of an HTML web page. So the next tag that comes in is what? The HTML head. The HTML head element contains meta information about the HTML page here. So inside the HTML head, you find the title. So the HTML title element specifies the title of the HTML what page, which is shown in the browser title bar or in the page tab. Yes. So the next one is the body. The body element defines the document body and and it's a container for all visible content such as heading, paragraph, image, hyperlink, tables, list, and etc. Yes. So they like if you open any browser, the content you see in the browser is written inside what? The body element. So the next one is the H1. So the H1 is just part of HTML element. When we move forward, I'll explain it to you guys because we have H1 to what? H6. So the H1 element defines the large heading. Yes, it's just the heading of um it's just a heading, yeah, a heading tag. Why the P element defines what? The paragraph. So let's see all these things into practice. Let us open our VS Code. Let us see how we are going to do something like this. So we're going to write our code. The next thing, let's go to our desktop. So if you are actually using a Mac, your desktop view looks like this. Yeah, it will look like this. So for those of you that are using Windows, it's just like similar to Mac, but it's just slightly different. So what we are going to do now, for those of you using Windows, you right click on your Windows. When you right click on your Windows, you see new folder. Yes, the moment you see new folder, you click create. Yeah, you click create new folder. You click on it. You create a new folder. So I want to do my own now. So I will create a new folder on my Mac. So just right click new folder. So your new folder, you can give it a title of HTML. Yes. So you press what? Enter. Now we have created our what? Our folder. Now we are going to open our folder um, on on a code editor or text editor. So we have different categories of text editor. Before we start coding, let's move to the next slide. Okay, yeah. So what is an HTML element? An HTML element is defined by a starting tag, comma, some contents, and the ending tag. This is how this is how HTML element looks like. The opening tag. So this one has lesser than sign, the tag name, and what greater than sign. It closes it. Now you can write your content inside of this, in between the opening and the closing tag. So the only difference between the opening and the closing tag is that the closing tag has what? A slash to identify between the difference between the opening and the closing tag. So let's go back to our desktop. So now I've created what? A folder called what? HTML. So we are going to open this folder inside one of the text editor I love using. For me, other people use different types of text editor. So let me show you. So you can go to their official documentation, official website. You just type VS Code. So this is their um, official website. So this VS Code is owned by what? Microsoft. Yes, my Visual Studio Code is owned by Microsoft. It makes coding very very easy. So initially we use what we call Notepad. One for Windows, there's what we call Notepad. For Mac, there's what we call text. I think it's text editor. Yes, yeah, text editor. So that's what we are using initially, but Microsoft had to make life easy for us by introducing Visual Studio Code. So you can, for those of you that are using Windows, you come to this place, click on download, click on this button here to download for you. For those of you using Ubuntu, click on this. Yeah, this for Ubuntu. For those of you using Mac, like for we now, I'm using Mac. I can download my Visual Studio Code here. So that's what we're going to be using on these lectures. So let's go back. So now I want to open my Visual Studio Code. Okay, look at my Visual Studio Code. I click on my Visual Studio Code. My Visual Studio Code is open. So sorry, ignore this. This is one of the code I've written. So now what we are going to do now is we are going to open our folder inside what? The folder that we created in our desktop. We are going to open it inside Visual Studio Code. So let's click on File. You click on what? Open folder. Now my folder is located inside what? My what? Desktop. I'll go to my desktop. Look at it here. HTML and what? Click on it. Open. So we are going to wait for Visual Studio Code to open our folder that we just created. Yeah. So we have opened our folder inside Visual Studio Code. So we want to close this. We don't need this. We close this. We don't need it. So this is our what? Visual Studio Code. So what we are going to do now, we are going to create a new HTML what file. So if you want to create a new HTML file, you come to this icon here. You see this icon is saying what new file. You click on this icon. Now every web page, every web page has what a root file, and the name of the root file for HTML is called what index dot. Now we are going to use the HTML extension in order for our Visual Studio Code and our browser to understand that we are writing an HTML file. Index dot what HTML, and you press what enter. So if you look at this icon here, you see that it's showing what HTML5. Yes, it's telling that we are writing HTML. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create our HTML structure, or you can also call it HTML boilerplate. So in order for you to do that, you come to this place, write HTML. So have you seen it? Visual Studio Code was able to suggest to you that we have different categories of HTML. So we are going to choose the HTML file. Click on it, and it generates your HTML boilerplate or HTML structure. So now we are going to explain them one after the other. Like I said, if you go to our slide now, go to our slide. Use our slide. Let's go back. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now we are going to explain them one after the other now. Everything. The first one is what? HTML doc type. So if you go to our Visual Studio Code, you can see that we have what? HTML doc type. So this HTML doc type simplify what? Let me write a comment. Sorry. Okay. The HTML doc type comment. So so the HTML doc type signify that is an HTML5 element. So now this doc type is telling that you're actually writing HTML5, because we have other standard of HTML. So the latest one we are using now is what? HTML5. So the next one is what? HTML element. If you look at it now, this HTML element has what? If I click on it, so Visual Studio Code Visual Studio Code will highlight it for me that okay, this is the opening tag of the what? HTML element, and this is the what? Closing tag. Remember, I told you guys that the difference between the opening tag and the closing tag is that there is what? A slash. So every opening tag of an HTML, every opening tag of an element, there must be a corresponding closing tag. So now HTML, look at the opening tag and look at the closing tag. It has what? This is a property and this is a value. So the property here, property language, look at the language property, this property language, and the language you are writing is what? English. EN stands for what? English. So the next one, let's move to, yeah, we have explained this. The next one is head tag. It's a head tag, the head element contains meta information about the web page. Yes, it contains meta information about the web page. Let's go back to it. So look at the words. Here is the word head element. And if you look at it, the head element has what? The opening and the closing tag. Now, it contains meta information about the web page. So these are the meta information, chart sets, UTF slash 8. This is like one of the standard way of writing web page, web HTML so that the web page can understand. So the next one is meta HTTP equiv x slash UA compatible content. That's for Edge if you're using Edge browser. So meta, the next one is meta name viewport, like viewport of the web page. Content with device, not about any it. Okay, this meta, the work of this meta is for every HTML lines of code that you write. You should be able to contain the viewport of the web page or the web browser. So the next one is what? The title. So the next one is title. So now, this title now, if you look at every website has what? A title. It has its own title. So look at where you add your title. You come over here. So I'm going to remove this document. So I'm going to give you the title what? My first HTML class. You save it, use Control, you press. For those of you that are using Windows, use Control S to save. For those of you that are using Mac, use Command S. So I've saved it. So this is, I've named my web page. The title of my web page, my first HTML class. So that's for that. So the body element defines the document body, and it's and is a container for all the visible contents such as heading, paragraph, image. So if you look at every web page you see out there, like I said earlier, whatever you want the end users to see is written inside this body. So this is where the contents of the web page is displayed. So this is where you write your content, and you should be able to display um, inside your web page or inside your browser. So whatever you want your browser to display on the web to users, write it inside your body. And if you look at it, your body has what? It has a opening and also a closing tag. So remember that every HTML element has what? An opening and a closing tag. So let's go back to our listing. So the next one um, is what? Headings. So we're not going to take headings and paragraph. We'll take it in our next class. So let's move to the next slide. So now, if you look at it, what is an HTML element? An HTML element defined by a start tag and some content on the end tag. So look at it, a start tag name, start tag, opening tag. That is the opening tag, the content, and what? The closing tag. So let's move to our body. So let's say the first one. Let's use HTML headings. So let us write our first HTML heading here. So sorry, for those of you that are still new in writing comments, When we get to the next, when we move to our next class, I will teach you guys on how to add comment to your what HTML element. So for now, just ignore. So the first one is what H1. So if you look at it, these our HTML what headings H1 is H1, which has the largest content. So now our content will go. We're writing our content here. So heading one. So if you look at it, this is where we write our content. Look at the opening tag of the heading, which is H1, and this is the closing tag. So that's that. So tag name H1, content goes here, and closing tag of H1. So let us move to the next one. So I've explained. Now the next one is HTML editor. So they say web page can create and modify by using professional HTML editors. However, for learning, HTML will recommend a simple text editor like Notepad. Yes, for Notepad for Windows PC, text editor for Mac. Yeah, for learning purpose. For those if you want to learn, for those of you that are learning, you can use Notepad. You can also use what text editor for Mac. Like I said, I recommend using Visual Studio Code. That's the one I showed you guys earlier. So we believe that using a simple text editor is a good way of learning. Yes, yes. Like I said, Visual Studio Code simplifies how to. It makes writing code very easy. But for people that are starting afresh, you can actually use Notepad. Got it, Notepad. You can go to online for those of you that are using Windows. You can go to online, search for what Notepad and what. Or if you're using Mac, you just type text editor. Or in Mac, it's already pre-installed. But Windows, I think it's there too. Type Notepad. Go to your Windows, click on your Windows, type Notepad. You see there to display. So that's that. So I've explained all HTML elements. They say in this chapter we're going to show some basic HTML elements. Don't worry. If you if we use tags, you have not learned about yet. Don't worry, I will explain that to you guys. So all HTML document must start with what? A document type declaration. Here, look at it here. The HTML document itself began with what? With HTML opening, this is the opening tag, and end with what? This is a closing tag. So they say the visible part of the HTML document is between what? The body. What you can see, what the browser can show to end users is written inside the body tag. So that's that. So let us move. Let's go back to our coding. So now let us Let us start with what our HTML headings. So now the first one is what? Heading one, which is what? H1. So move to the next one. Heading two. Heading two. We have six of them. We have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. So I'm going to list all of them out now. So yeah, the next one is what? H3. So heading 3. You move to the next one. H4. Heading 4. You move to the next one. H5. Heading 5. The next one. H6. Heading. So HTML headings is just 6 of them. We have 1 to 6. So we don't have 7, we don't have 8, we don't have 9, we don't have 10. It's just 1 to 6. These are the HTML headings that we have. So let us see the outcome of our code in our browser. So in order for you to display it on your browser, you can just come to this place and right click and click on reveal in Finder. That's for Mac. For Windows, you can right click, you see open in browser. Click on this. So look at it. Obviously, the browser is trying to show me that it's an what HTML um, document. So I double click on it. So if you look at it now, yeah, you can see that heading 1 is the largest, followed by what? Heading 2, followed by heading 3, followed by heading 4, followed by heading 5, followed by heading 6. Yeah. So the next thing, let's see. I mean, if I highlight this, you can see my title. My title is showing what? My first HTML class. So this every website has a title. So if you go to the title, look at what I did. My first HTML class, and it's showing you what? Yeah. So this is the work of the title. So look at the headings. Yeah. I hope you guys understand this. So that's for that. We'll move to the next one. Let's go back to our slide. Yeah. So the next one is what? We are going to add some paragraph to our what headings. We come under this heading 1. So for you to add your paragraph, you use what we call what? P element. P element. So this is our what? Paragraph. So we want to add some text under our heading 1. So we can generate text. There's what we call lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum is used to generate text. So lorem, just type lorem. So lorem, now you can add any numbers of, you can add 10, 15, 20, or 25. So I'm adding 20 to generate 20 text for me. So have you seen it? It's, let me close, let me just close it so I can see it. Have you seen it? It was able to generate some Latin text for me without me thinking of what any text I'm going to write. So we have formatted it. Code is formatted. So let's go back to our browser. If I refresh the browser, have you seen it? It has added some text to under our H1. So that's it. Let's go to the next one. Let's add some more text in our H2 heading 2. Use our P. Press your tab key. Right, let's say write lorem 50 or lorem 200 to make it large. Press enter key. So let us format. We can format our code by right clicking and click on format documents. Format it for us. So we'll do Control S or Command S to save it. Yeah, I think it's saved. Why is it my VS Code is not still saving it? Okay, it has saved it now. So go back to our browser and what? And refresh. You can see that we are now creating our web page gradually by using just our headings and what? Paragraph. So let us add more paragraph. So you can easily shrink it. It will definitely fit in, right? So I'm seeing something like S here. Let me go and check it out. Let me see why it's okay. Look at it. Delete it. Save it. So let's add more. Because we can code along. Let's add more. P tab lorem 30. Right? We format our document. Page 4. Add more. Lorem 20. Just format it again. You can add more. P lorem 50 or 40, anyone, which one you want. You guys format it. So let's see if you can give gap so that we will notify that so that our code will print. So, yeah. So the last one is H6. Just add a paragraph. So in order for you to add a text, you must use what your paragraph tag, which is your P tag, Lauren. Let's format it. So Command S or Control S to save. Let's open our attention. Let's shrink this a little bit. So look at how our code is going. This basically the starting point of writing code. So this is your what HTML. So let's move. Let's go to our browser and refresh. So if we refresh it now, have you seen it? Have you seen it? We have added what some text under the headings. Yeah, that's that. So let's move to the next one. So I think we are done with this. Okay, let's wait for it to load. So the next one, next. So the next one is what HTML what attributes. So HTML attributes, or is it all elements can have what HTML attributes? Yes, all HTML elements can have what HTML attributes. They say attributes provide what additional information about what the elements. Yes, you want your HTML, you want to provide additional information. Your HTML element, you use what we call attributes. As attributes are always specified in the start tag, which is the opening tag. So let's go back. Let me show you guys. So you can now this is the word start tag. Yeah. So you can just come to this place and write. Let's use um which of the attributes are going to use. We're going to use style attribute. Style attribute. When you press enter. So if you look at it now, this style attribute has what? It has a property and what? A value. Yes. So the style is the property. The value, look at the value. Now VS Code is suggesting different types of values that we want to use style value. But for now, let us ignore. So we'll go back to our web page. So now in your opening tag here, this is where you add your words, your attributes. Hope you guys get it. So the next one is attribute usually comes with name slash value pair like, which is the name and the value. If you look at it now, this is the name, which is the property, and this is the value here. So you put this is your name, this is the name of the attribute, and whatever you want to add, you can add your value here. Correct. Now they have different kinds of attributes. Now the first one is the href attribute. We call it href attribute. Let's say for instance, see the a tag, that's the a element tag, defines the hyperlink. Yes, the href attribute specify the URL of the page the link goes to. Let's take for instance, let's copy this. We don't need to. Okay, I'm sorry. So now let us add a an anchor element. We call it an anchor element, a tag. So let's go to the thing. Let's say we want to add something here under this heading 1. Under this paragraph, we add an anchor tag and press tab. So now we want this particular anchor tag to go to what? www.google.com, right? You come over here, right? What? www.google.com. So you can um you can add our content here. Click me. So let's save it. So that's the first attribute, what, which the first attribute is what? Href what? Attribute. So we're using the href attributes to go to what? Google.com. Sorry, click me. Save it very well. Sorry guys. So I'll still come to this one. I'll still come to this style attribute. So we'll get to that stage. So let's go to our browser. Remember to refresh. Have you seen it now? So now you can see that we have something here that has now if I point my mouse towards this particular click me, you'll see that the close-up will change. Isn't it? So it's telling me that I should click on this particular click me. That it should take me to google.com. Let's try it if it will work. Click me. Okay, now I'm not getting the actual Google URL. Let me see if I can go to google.com here. Google. Okay. Okay. Let's copy the URL now. Yeah. So let's copy the URL. Let's go to our Visual Studio Code. So we're going to replace it here. And click on what? Save. So let's go back to our code. Let me refresh again. So let's do click me again. Have you seen it now? The href attribute help us to what? To specify the parts of any web page you want to link from our website. We can link to other website using what? The href attribute. So that's that. We can also do that. We can also use our href attribute to link pages within our website. So we'll still get to that, yeah. So let's move to our slide. Okay, back. So that's the first one. We use what? Our anchor tag, which is the A tag, and use what? The href what? Attribute. So let's move to the next one. The source attribute. Let's say we want to add image. No, every website, if you want to add image to a website, you use what we call what? Source attribute. But the first thing, say the source attribute, you say the img tag, these are another HTML element. The img tag is used to embed an image in an HTML page. Yes. So now if you want to add image, those images you are seeing in any website, you use what we call what? Img tag. So with the source attribute, you can now specify the particular image that we want to what? Add, right? So let us try something out. So let's go under this one. So img tag, we press tab. So now we have the source. This is an attribute. Alternative alt is an attribute. So that the source tag is for we want to add a particular image, right, in a web page. So let us see if we can get an image from our browser. Then I just get the link and add it. So let me go to Unsplash. Unsplash. So let us see. Let us choose this one. So I don't want to download the image, so we can just copy the URL. Let's see. Copy the URL. So this with this URL now, we can easily add this particular image to our web page. So let me see. Let me go to our web page. Yeah, we got two ladies. So I'll just add an alternative text that says two ladies. So let's say it's fine. Let's cross our finger. Check if it show. So let's go back to our web page. Um, okay, let's open it here again. Okay, it's not showing because I think it's because of it's from the browser. Let me refresh. It's not showing. So what we are going to do now, let me download the image. I was thinking it's going to show. Download the image. Or I think I have the image on my system. Wait, let me create. So for us to add image in our browser or in our for us to add image in our web page, let us create a folder. So if we want to create a folder, you come to this place, click on this. It's in a new folder. So we name the folder what? Images. Press enter. Right? Now I have some images on my system. And okay, yeah. So look at the folder that we just created, images. So let me go to my system, go to my disk, download. Let's look for a nice image. I think this one is okay. Okay, I've moved that particular image to our desktop. So let's move this image inside our folder. You can drag it from your desktop. You can also do it in Mac or in Windows. You drop it there. So we are going to rename it. I don't want to. The name is too. Is not like the name. Just say image one. Yeah, image one. Dot what? Image has PNG, JPG, JPEG. So they have so different extension. These are extension. JPEG is an extension. So now yeah, you can see that we have added an image, a photo, or yeah, a photo inside our image folder. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. Let's see. So if we click on this our image, you see it there. It's there already. Mm-hmm. I think it's big. Let us seize it. So you can just clear this up. Now we want to locate the part of our image, right? So we want to locate the part of this image folder. So what we are going to do is use what we call what? Dot slash. So once you click dot slash, you can see that VS Code is suggesting to us that there's an image what folder. You so click on what? The image folder and you click on what? The image. So let's save it now. Finger crossed. You should show now. Let's go to our web page here and what? Refresh. Voila! Wow! My God! Wow! The main thing that is now is showing right, but is too much. It's covering our web page. But we can still reduce it. The main thing is for me to show you guys how to add image to our web page. So for us to do that, we can add another attribute here, width. Just give our width of 200 px. This is an attribute, width and height. Height 200. Let's save it. Let's go back to our page and refresh it. Okay, to 200. Isn't it? It's showing now. Let's make it with 100%. So that it should be able to cover the entire web page, like the length. Yes, 100%. So let's increase the height to 500 or 700. It should look nice. Let's refresh again. Yeah. So you can see that we have added what image using what the image tag. Yeah. Yeah, the img tag and the source. The source is where we specify the part. Now let me explain that. Now say the image tag. The image tag is used to embed images. Image coming. I want you guys to see it. Okay, the image tag is used to embed image in HTML page. The source attribute specify the path to the image to be displayed. So, like I said, I've been given an example. So there are two types. There are two ways to specify the URL in the source attribute. They say we have the what the absolute URL. It has to do with the link. Now I can just go to like I tried it earlier. I don't know why it didn't show for Unsplash. So we can use absolute URL. They say link, absolute URL link is an external image that can host in another web page. Example. So in your source attribute now, we have https slash slash colon slash slash www.w3schools.com slash image slash img underscore gl.jpg. So this is an external link. You can add it inside your source. Why the one we just did is an it's a note. External image might be under copyright. Yes. They say if you do not get permission to use it, you may be in violation of copyright laws. Say in addition, you cannot control external image. Yes, it can suddenly be removed or changed. Yes, they can remove it. The moment they remove the URL, it will move out from your web page. So I advise you download images and use it. So the next one is relative URL link. Relative URL link to an image that is hosted within the website. Here are the URL. Here the URL does not include the domain. There's no domain name. If the URL begins without a slash, it will be relative to the current page. Example: source slash img slash jpg. If the URL begins with a slash, it will be relative to the domain. For example, source. These are the quotes. You add your quotes slash images slash images dot what jpg. So look at it here. Have you seen it? So I'm pointing towards what my image folder. Yes, that's that. So next on tips, it is almost always best to use relative URL. Yes, they will not break if the domain change. Yes, it will not break if the domain change as long as you download the image and use it within your web page, not within your browser or within your Visual Studio Code. It will not break when the domain name changes. So I think the next one is the width and height what attribute. The image tag should also contain a width and height attribute, which specify the width and height of the image in pixel. So let's go back to replacing it. We have what? We have the width and what? Height attribute. So if you look at what I did, I make the width to be what? 100% width, 100%. That's 100% of the web page. Why the height is, I make it to 700 pixel, 700 px. So px stands for what? Pixel. So we still move to that particular stage. But for now, I'm taking it gradually so that those of you that are new into software engineering, that are new into that wants to learn coding, you can understand it very well. So that's it. So we use what? Width and height attribute to specify the width and height of any images that we want to use. So the auth attribute, now the auth attribute is required. They say you require auth attributes for the image tag, specify an alternative text for an image. Let's say for example you're able to add an image in your inside your Visual Studio Code now, and this image happens to and maybe the image later break or is not showing. So the auth attribute will specify that okay, this your the particular image you want to add. Let's take for instance you want to add two ladies. Now with the auth attribute, it will tell you that okay, if this image is not shown, let this text show, and this text is telling you that this image that is going to show here is two ladies. So the alternative text is telling you that it's two ladies that are supposed to be showing there, since the image is not showing there. So that's what we call what? Alternative text. Say the require alternative attribute for this img tag specify alternative text for an image. If the image for some reason cannot be displayed, yes, they can be due to slow connection of the internet or an error in the source attribute, or if the user use a screen reader, if the user is using a screen reader. So if the user is using a screen reader, he can easily understand that okay, this is an alternative text for this particular image. So that's why we use auth attribute. So the next one is what? Style attribute. So they say the style attribute is used to add style to an HTML element such as color, font size, and more. So we're going to practice it now. We are going to use the style attribute. So let's go back to our Visual Studio. If you look at it, let's go scroll up. See here. So in our heading one, we use what we call what? Style attribute. So I want to add some colors to our heading one. So I'll use what? Color. So what color we're going to use? Visual Studio Code is suggesting to us different categories of color. So let us use, I love using purple. I don't know why. Purple. If I click on save, let's go to our web page. Have you seen it? So here's the work of the style attributes. Don't worry, we'll still get to CSS. CSS is used for styling. So let us see if we can make it look nice. Let's just change something. Let us move this heading. Heading one. First class on HTML. So just refresh. Mm-hmm. I think I should. So we can also increase the font size. We come here, font size. See, Just to look is actually suggesting to us what we are going to. These are these we are using the style attributes and we are adding values to it. So font size is a value. Let's say let's say 20 px. Let's refresh. Hmm, small, right? So let us make it 40. I think it's okay. So let's see if we can center it. User now value text align center. Don't worry, when we get to CSS, all guys you guys will understand this. Text align center. We can now refresh it. Let's see. We can center it. So this is the style attribute. So they say the style attribute is used to add style to an HTML element such as color. We have done this color, the font size, and more. So I have so many of them. So the language attribute. They say you should always include a language attribute inside the HTML element tag to declare the language of the web page. This means to assist search engine and browser. Yes, the following example specify English as the language. Look at it here. After the doc types, the language was EN English. So the body and content. Move to the next one. The title, like I said earlier, now the title attributes. The title attributes. The title attribute defines some extra information about an HTML. Yes, you can add title attributes um, in an element. The value of the attribute will display as pop as a two pit or as a two tip. Sorry, as a two tip when your mouse is over on that. Let's try it now. So title, let's say heading two, heading two. So let's save it and then refresh. Everything once you hover our mouse to it, it will show that what it's showing what everything is heading to. We added it here. Right, let me just so let's move to the next one. So we have done the HTML headings, which is 1 to 6. You can see it on the web page. Go to the next one. We added the headings to it. We have done the paragraph also. So HTML style. So we can add style. Yeah, like I did it here. So color, purple, font size, 40px, text align center. So we can use what the style attribute to add style. So we have come to the conclusion of this first stage of HTML. So in our next class, I will add more topics that we are going to code along and we're going to treat those topics. Yeah. Thanks for watching. and remain blessed.